This really interests me. I'm not sure what I think about this, but I think it's different. I think it's
definitely.
neat. I think I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
Although I said in the past on my channel and I said someone's going to come up with an NFT fund. It's coming. It's coming. And are you guys the first one in Canada?
Yep.
So you guys have an NFT fund,
Correct.
a non-fungible token fund,
Yep.
which first off, let's tell our viewers what an NFT is for those that don't.
Yeah, so non-fungible token it's a crypto asset, and it's basically digital art that gets tracked and traded on the blockchain. I give the analogy, like I grew up collecting hockey cards.
Yeah, same.
And some people are into different collectibles. I own some vintage guitars as well. So I was always into collectibles and not necessarily into physical art. Those can get very pricey.
Yeah.
You hear of
Also
art.
fun and neat, and collectibles are pretty cool too. Right?
Yeah,
I said
exactly.
someone's going to start a liquid collectible fund.
Yeah, and a Mickey Mantle rookie card going for $5 million,
Yeah.
and Wayne Gretzky rookie card, $1 million. And what NFTs and blockchain technology enabled was media to be able to be uniquely owned for digital art. And you've seen a transition, whether it be music or movies, from physical to digital. And NFTs enable the transition of art and collectibles into the digital realm.
Right.
And so the problem used to be, okay, I got this cool piece of art, right click save, now 10,000 people own it, and there's no scarcity, and therefore there's no value. Now with NFT technology, the Ethereum blockchain, you can guarantee the provenance of a work. I can look and say, okay, Rob, you own this CryptoPunk NFT. I know 100% it's yours, not just that, but I can see who previously owned it and what prices they paid.
I'm trying to understand though. So I get the craze. I understand. By the way, what's happened to that? That was a bubble that burst a little bit a couple of years ago.
Highly volatile.
Yeah.
It's comparable, and it's probably more risky, way more risky than Bitcoin.
Oh, for sure.
I say NFTs are the quickest and fastest way you could lose all your money.
Lose your shirt, lose everything you own.
It's basically like a lotto ticket, and for these type of exposures, I say put in less than 1%.
Yeah, because this is your lottery ticket, your portfolio kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, and thankfully I've had a great lotto ticket NFT that I sold for a huge value, but I assume many, if not all of them, will go to zero, and I hope that one goes up 10 or 100-fold.
Yeah. So it's very volatile. Overall, it appreciated a ton a year or two ago.
Yeah, between basically 2021 had a massive ramp.
It's come down 80% or something like that since then.
Last year it came off substantially.
Would it be like 90%?
It really depends on what collections.
Yeah. Okay, regardless.
Some are paid like crazy value that are completely worthless now.
Yeah.
So imagine you go to an art show and you buy a piece of art, and then 20 years later, is it marketable? Is there even a bid for it? It could be worthless. And if you're lucky, it's worth $100,000.
Yeah.
So the way I view NFTs is a new art movement, and hopefully in our portfolio, we have the Andy Warhol of digital art.
How many do you guys have? How big is this ETF?
It's not an ETF, it's a private fund.
Oh, sorry, it's a private fund. How big is it?
It's very small, so it's $1 million.
$1 million bucks. Who manages that?
We do internally as a team, but we don't have a lot of assets. We have less than 10 NFTs in the fund. Focus on what we call blue chip. So the most recognizable, most liquid.
Can you give me some examples of what's in there?
Yeah, and so probably one of the most popular collections is the CryptoPunks.
Okay.
And so they were the first 10,000 collection of NFTs. And first they were free to claim. They came out in 2017 as basically the first NFT. The first NFT ever was this collection of CryptoPunks. It's kind of an Andy Warhol painting, but digitized.
They're like abstract-ish, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so if you look right there, that's one of the CryptoPunks that we own. And initially they're free, and it took a while, but they've become trendy. And some have sold for more than $10 million just for one. And so they became very sought after with Gen Xers and millennials. Imagine you're a tech titan and you got money burning a hole in the pocket.
Yeah, no, I get the urge. I get why they became popular, and I'm curious about a couple more things. So you guys went and bought them. Now you own them. You're sitting on them. Have any of them moved inside the portfolio? Have you been able to sell? Do you want to sell any of these?
No, it's a long-term hold.
It's a long-term hold.
Yeah.
A few market cycles kind of thing?
Yeah, so the initial term of the fund is 4 years.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of see where things are at. But the goal is to put together a portfolio, provide exposure that for investors who want that in their portfolio,
Yeah.
because NFTs can
It's
be
impossible to do
can
for
be-
me.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Very difficult to trade and very difficult to keep safe. And so security is very important. And we
So-
have an institutional custodian to hold the
Okay.
assets.
Do you think you've done well with the NFT purchases?
In terms of performance?
Yeah.
No, the last 2 months have been pretty tough. Like they're denominated in Ethereum. Ethereum has risen in value, but I think the NFTs on average, some have gone up. More
Is there
have gone
a market? Is there a like
It's a very
exchange?
liquid market,
A very liquid.
yeah.
So you know what your cyberpunks are worth.
Yeah, some may take, if we are to sell, give it a week and it could sell. It's if you have a painting that trades relatively often,
Yeah.
or call it, say you have a Wayne
A Gretzky
Gretzky card. You see where prices are going for,
Yeah.
so you can peg like an approximate value for that. So I think at this point, we're still in a bear market, so it hasn't
You
performed
needed
well.
the market cycle to come back.
Yeah, and we launched that about 9 months ago. So
Okay.
it's still very new.
Okay.
Total proof of concept, high risk, very high risk. strategy.
Don't put money that you can't absolutely
Yeah,
go
not
to zero.
for widows and orphans.
No. You talk about the Gretzky rookie card. One of the kind of cool things that I bought 2-3 years ago is a box 1979-80 Topps wax box sealed with 36 packs in it.
Right.
36, 24? I don't forget. Whatever they had back then. And I'm going to open it here on my channel at some
that's
point
gonna
very
be
soon. And I'm
exciting.
going to hope to get $1 million Gretzky or $2 million Gretzkys or maybe even 3. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be
There's-
fun.
I think there's 300 and something cards in a box. I think there were 210 cards that year.
Oh,
I've always loved
good
collectibles
odds.
and I like this kind of stuff. For it to be a 10 though, it might not be a 10, right? It might be
Yeah.
off center, the
Yeah.
cut might not be great,
Yeah.
or there's all these color leaking or whatever that could impact the card. But I certainly get it. I certainly understand why people want to get into that. For me, it's super fun and it's like a neat way of investing that's different. I wouldn't do it necessarily with my clients' money,
Yeah.
but I think it's fun. The NFT proof of concept, it works. Good on you guys. Are you going to do another one of that at some point? You might.
For kind of these experimental funds, it was something that we did personally. And I've been trading NFTs for a couple of years. It's a brand new market. It really just came out 2-3 years ago. And at first I was skeptical. And there's a story, I came across Bitcoin in 2013 and I'm like, you know what is this? Probably inconsequential. And then it wasn't until early 2017 that I'm like, hey, something's here. The way that I learn is by buying. And so I got into Bitcoin and launched Canada's
Made a
first.
bit of money there.
I launched Canada's first Bitcoin fund, and it was up 300% in 2017. And it was the same thing. And then I saw one of the first NFTs. I'm like, oh, what is this? Probably inconsequential. And then 2020 came around. I'm like, these NFTs are coming back. Maybe there's something here. I didn't know what to think. So I started trading them on my own and buying because I learned just by doing. And after 6 months, I'm like, okay, there's something here. I approached some of my partners at Accelerate. And I'm like, I'm going to buy an NFT portfolio because I think there's a ton of upside here. Although highly speculative, incredibly risky, I think it's worth a bit of my portfolio and offered them the opportunity to share the risk. And some came in and we bought some NFTs. We did very well, up tenfold in 9 months, and monetized some of it. And then after that, it gave us the confidence, and we thought others would want that exposure to that sort of high risk, high upside asset class. And I think it could be similar to Bitcoin in its early days, but ultimately we'll see.
So I totally get the piece of art on the wall. Totally get the hockey card. I totally get the Declaration of Independence copy, signed copy in my office. The digital piece of art that only I own, that's on a ledger, that's verified by a ledger, that one I have a harder time wrapping my head around the urge.
No, that's a
Because
great
what
question.
do you do with it? Okay,
Yeah.
I buy an NFT. Where is it right now?
Yeah, and it's on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah,
and,
it's on
and
the
what the
blockchain.
blockchain is, it's just a distributed database that isn't controlled by one person. So you can look at this database and see the slot, oh, CryptoPunk, Rob owns that one, right? And so everyone knows. And what became popular over the past couple of years is as people spend more and more time online, social media is important. And there really hasn't been a reliable way to have instant social proof online. So what people started doing is utilizing NFTs as their social media, their online avatars. So if you look at Jay-Z, you look at his avatar, it's a CryptoPunk.
How do
that he
you
paid
know?
$400,000.
How do you know it's CryptoPunk?
Oh, because it shows it right there.
But how do you know it's
And
not
you
just
can-
an image of a CryptoPunk?
Because you can look And anyone can right-click, copy, and save it, but that doesn't mean they own it. I can look at that one
That's my
specifically,
problem.
and I look on the blockchain, and you can see where Jay-Z bought it, how much he paid for it.
Okay, I pull up Twitter.
$400,000.
I pull up Twitter, I see Jay-Z's, and I see his avatar.
Yep.
How do I know that that's just not a JPEG that I saved off the internet and it's his NFT?
Because that one is one of a kind, and you can see.
How do I know that?
The average person probably wouldn't know, but the thing is, if it's not his, it's analogous to wearing a fake Gucci loafers or a fake Rolex watch. It's like, it's not legitimate. And if people say, oh, why are you wearing a fake Rolex watch? That's embarrassing. It's the same thing online. You own it and can provably own it. And other people, if you don't own it, they can prove that you don't own it.
If I
Like, for
wanted
example,
to do a flex,
Yep.
an NFT flex,
Yep.
I went and I bought a CryptoPunk. I
Yep.
bought a CryptoPunk
Yep.
and I changed my Twitter avatar. And then I could puff my chest out. But then the real people, the Julians of the world, would go, check the blockchain. Oh yeah, Tatro does own that NFT. He owns it. He's not wearing a fake Rolex.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, Wayne Gretzky rookie card. I'm sure there's a lot of fakes out there. And you want to make sure that what you're getting is the real deal. And,
So where is there just one version of that image?
Exactly. The one real one was minted on the blockchain in 2017, is traded multiple times probably. And
Is it a file that moves from computer to computer?
So the file remains where it is, but the database has what points to it is a different owner. Take, for example, a piece of art that gets stored in a museum.
Yeah.
If that art gets sold from you to me and stays in the museum.
Stays in the museum.
Yeah. So
The blockchain is a museum.
exactly. Yeah. Just the ownership trades. The database says, okay, Rob no longer owns this. Julian now owns this. They did a trade.
And everyone trusts this museum.
Correct.
And
It's
like, no one's gonna
museum
steal
is
any-
mathematically proven correct 100% of the time. It's never wrong.
Could someone delete my name and put your name next to my piece of
Never,
art?
unless you get hacked. But typically, people have poor security.
Don't hacks happen all the time?
It depends. If you have good security, no. Take, for example, if you had a Wayne Gretzky rookie card, you put it up on your wall in a nice case. Do you have an alarm on your house, or do you leave
I don't
the
think
keys?
that's safe by any stretch, but I want to understand if that's what we're talking about. We're talking about someone breaking in and stealing my Gretzky card. That scares me. But for some reason in my mind, NFT was like it wasn't hackable.
So it's a matter of your private keys, which give you the ability to transfer or sell your NFT.
Like the guy who lost all those Bitcoin at
Yeah,
the
exactly.
landfill in the UK.
Yeah, imagine you have a safety deposit box and you have the keys, you put your Gretzky card in there, 100% safe. But if you just put the keys over there and you come back the next day and they're gone, and someone's opened it up and taken your card, then that's like what a digital hack could be if they're not careful with their keys or if they get tricked. Usually it's social engineering where they get tricked into giving them away. It's analogous to a robber coming along and saying, hey,
I got a ladder here. Yeah, I need to get into your house because I'm fixing the wires. Okay, so what are the best kept methods for keeping digital keys?
So where you always want to use what's called a hardware wallet. Hardware wallet makes it so you have an extra layer of security. So I always advocate for that because then they just can't go online and hack you. They need a physical device that's password protected to allow for the transfer of your NFTs. That's number one. With our NFT fund, we actually have a third-party digital asset custodian.
Okay.
That's Canada-based.
If Jay-Z's avatar showed up on my Twitter tomorrow and he said, oh, I got hacked, is it like a piece of art? If a Van Gogh shows up in a different museum, you're like, dude, that was in the Louvre and now it's over there. Someone stole that. Or once I've hacked it, it's mine and I own it.
Yeah, typically on hacks, what NFT exchanges do, they flag that asset and they don't allow it to trade.
Okay.
So it's in this quagmire, this sort of state where it's stolen and can't trade. Like, for example, if a popular painting gets stolen, no reasonable collector is going to buy that, no matter what the price, because it's
Black market.
Yeah, exactly. So it's if you have a stolen Mickey Mantle rookie card, or an incredibly easy to identify automobile. If you stole
Or like
some-
the one Jordan last game worn jersey.
Exactly.
There's only
like,
one.
Yeah, and there's going to be no liquidity there because
Yeah.
there's no market for stolen goods. So it's the same thing online.
It still scares me. That
Oh, for
scares
sure.
me about buying
It
NFTs.
is
Because
scary.
I'm pretty good at technology and stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm not you, and I'd be fearful of buying this just because, how do I store this?
I'm still scared doing it, and I've done it for a couple of years, and it's a very nascent technology. Imagine trading stocks 100 years ago.
Like my dad did.
Or bearer bonds. Like you have
you're clipping the coupon.
You have a certificate that if someone steals it, you lose it, you're out of luck. So NFTs are like bearer bonds. You got to keep them safe, and you got to be really good about storing them securely.
Yeah, it's like the guy who got the F1 $2 million card or whatever on this auction show that I watch on Netflix. He wears it around his neck, like a necklace.
Yeah.
And, dude, someone's going to steal that off your neck. So yeah, I guess you keep it in a safe, but then do you enjoy it? Do you think people who buy NFTs, I guess they can enjoy it because they could display it as their avatar,
Exactly.
and they could show people that they own this thing.
And what we do, we've actually printed some of ours and display them around the office.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose?
We have the QR code under it, so you scan it with the phone, it brings up the page, and you can see right where we bought it.
It brings up what page?
Kind of like the transaction history
Of the
blockchain.
The blockchain
Yes.
ledger.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is what people are using now. So why don't you just print that and put that on the wall?
It's the kind of same thing if you want to display a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. If you own it, that's great. But if you have a replica, you probably don't want to show it off. If people know that it's fake, then it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, but in your case, it's a replica which shows that you have the original somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
In a blockchain that you can't access.
We can access it
You can
because we have
access
the private keys, yes.
Okay. But what do you do if you access
Because
it?
ultimately, ownership is judged by, can you sell it and receive the money? That's what true ownership is. Yeah, so it's definitely a unique concept that may catch on, may not. I guess time will tell.
Dude, if my dad were here right now, he'd be ripping into you for, what are you doing? This is stupid. You're buying NFTs.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about asset allocation and investing over time, stocks used to be crazy man's game.
Yes.
They're deemed too speculative, not appropriate for portfolios.
How do you
and for
know
gamblers.
you're going to be able to convert that into actual shares of ownership?
Yeah, exactly. And there's no financial statements. Like the SEC wasn't even around at one point. Like it was just a bunch of gamblers kind of going back and forth, and many of them did go to zero. And you had the South Sea bubble, big ramp, that goes to zero. So it's kind of like say where stocks were over 100 years ago.
Yeah, you're
the
definitely,
Wild West.
You're on the bleeding edge here. Yeah. You're definitely on the bleeding edge of everything that's futuristic, about alternative, about asset class allocation, about the space itself. And I find that really cool about what you're doing. I don't know how many of these I would necessarily think are for everyone, but I think it's really creative what you've done. And like the NFT thing, although I struggle with it, and it's not for me, I can totally understand why you would do that. I can totally understand why you would create this ETF and why people would want to, or this investment fund and why people would want to. And if I was a gambling man, which I'm not, probably say that in 5 years from now, you'd be like, I was the first one to create this thing, and now there are 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah,
Kind
exactly.
of like you did with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and if it takes off, then we got a track record. And if it doesn't, the most important thing is people understood the risk.
Yeah, people didn't lose money that was feeding their kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's their gambling money.
Right on. All right, so we got, as a quick recap here, we got the 4 different ETFs. We got the ARB, we got the hedge, we got the long short, and we got
TSX
the
1C.
And the 1C. 4 different solutions, alternative asset classes. These are a little different than real assets, but real solutions, reduced volatility, good track record, good returns, and now 9 numbers of investable assets. Thanks for taking the time from Accelerate. Julian, it was a pleasure. Really enjoyed having you in Winnipeg, in your hometown.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. We'll have you on again. That was really fun.